We are back here at the University of Colorado for week 10. Week 10, y'all, the college football season. We just heard from Coach Prime. We just heard from Sincere Brown. We just heard from Preston Hodge after the Bucs' embarrassing loss to Utah in Salt Lake City. And there was obviously a lot to talk about, particularly from Coach Prime here. Let's start at the top, right? Coach Prime at the start of his presser wanted to clarify a couple of things, right? There's a viral video going around of Warren Sapp kicking pylons, pregame, and Coach Prime coming around to clean this up. And to some people who have never seen this before, as if this doesn't happen every week, it kind of turned into a viral thing where people had an issue with it. So Coach Prime wanted to clarify that is just their little thing. That's just something they do. The defensive line knocks people down. The DBs pick some things off, pick the pylons up, so to speak. So that's their little thing. He also clarified another kind of viral thing that came out of that Utah game. It was a photo of Coach Prime kind of just screaming right behind Robert Livingston. And a lot of people interpreted that as Coach Prime yelling at Coach Livingston. And Coach Prime, again, wanted to clarify that wasn't the case. He was yelling about personnel, not yelling at Coach Livingston. He reiterated, Coach Prime did, how much love and admiration and respect he has for Coach Livingston and the job he's doing. So two kind of clarifications out the gate. Coach Prime also talked about how his team has responded, coming off of a 40-plus point loss on the road in really embarrassing fashion. Coach Prime was really proud of how this team has responded early in the week as we sit here on Tuesday as they get ready for another tough opponent in Arizona coming into town this week. So the response in practice was what he wanted to see, particularly from one guy who had a kind of a tough night, right? Mate 2.0, the punter, had a rough night, shanked the punt that led to a Utah score. Coach Prime pretty much said that Mate was out after practice today working, kicking the snot out of the ball, to use Coach Prime's term, to the point where Coach Pollock, special teams coach, had to tell him to get off the field, like, you've done enough. But that's just kind of one kind of glimpse of how this team is kind of taking ownership of what we all saw transpire on Saturday night. Coach Prime also taking ownership, taking accountability. He said today that he has not left this facility since they got back on Saturday night after the game. He spent every night here in the facility since then. That's just how much he has really taken to heart what happened and what transpired on Saturday night. So it's a top-down approach in terms of accountability. We'll see what the actual results look like on Saturday. One thing that I am particularly going to have a keen eye on is how this offense, this Colorado offense, responds to literal pressure, the blitz, right? Because that was Utah's game plan. Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham said it point blank after the game, that their game plan was to blitz Colorado heavily and force Colorado to beat them to the air, something that the Bucs were unable to do. Coach Prime said to the team after the game that the blueprint is out there. The cat's out the bag in terms of how to attack us. They got to blitz us, they got to pressure us and force us to beat us through the air. Coach Prime talked about that. He said that there were answers out there to be had, but they just didn't get to him. So that kind of points to the quarterback kind of struggling to see the field a little bit, kind of struggling with the answers to pressure, right? When somebody is blitzing, you got to replace them with a throw. So hopefully we see a better plan, the quarterback more equipped with answers, because we saw it. Utah blitzed this team heavily, and this offense really had no answer. So best believe Arizona and the rest of the defense on this rest of the schedule, they're going to try to blitz this team heavily. Another struggle, road games, right? This team now is 0-3 on the road this season, with arguably its three worst losses of the season coming on the road. We're talking about, obviously, the Houston debacle. We're talking about the blown lead against TCU. And we're talking about the embarrassment on Saturday night. I asked Coach Prime, what do you think it is about the road struggle this season? Are you seeing a different team on the road versus at home? And Coach Prime pretty much said no. But what he does see is that his team struggles at night. He's still trying to figure that out. Obviously, that was a talking point a few weeks ago. And Coach Prime kind of switched up the practice schedule a little bit to kind of get this team more ready to play at night. But clearly Saturday night, that stuff didn't work. So Coach Prime is figuring out how to get this team to play better at night. We obviously learned yesterday that at least these next two games, Arizona this weekend, West Virginia next weekend, are going to be during the day. So we will see, although this Arizona game is at 5 o'clock, should bleed into the night. So we'll see if this team has kind of figured out its errors, its problems playing at night. But that's pretty much it, man. Y'all go check out the rest of the interviews on Buffs TV, but it's going to be interesting to see how this team responds from its worst loss of the season, perhaps its worst loss of the Coach Prime era. Coaches have to be better. Players have to be better in all three phases. It sounds like the week has gotten off to a good start, but we'll see. We'll see for sure on Saturday. We'll be back here tomorrow hearing from Coach Hilo, hearing from a couple of defensive ends as well. But y'all let us know in the comments what you think about what you heard today and how you think this team is going to respond against another tough team, Arizona. It's your boy Scotty Bands holding it down for y'all today. I'll catch y'all soon.